That's what.
Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. Yes, 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 yes. I am Robert Henderson Jr., President, CEO, Certified Financial Planner, founder of the Henderson Financial Group, located here in Miami Lakes, Florida. And also, I am the CEO, President of the Henderson Realty Group and Henderson Insurance. This is my beautiful, wonderful, late as always daughter from home. And we're doing this show today, and I hope that she's ready. How are you doing, Hyacinth Renee Henderson?
I'm so happy to be here, Mr. Henderson. I'm so glad to be back in the saddle and doing this show again with you today on this wonderful Wednesday. I choose to focus on the positive, and the positive is that we are here today for another episode of Transitions. And I know that we're going to have a phenomenal show. I know that our listeners are going to enjoy the content, the information, the messages that we share. So I'm doing wonderful.
It is done. It is done.
It
It
is
is
fun.
said.
So it is. Aren't you so glad to have me back?
I mean, just totally blown away. And today I was thinking about reinventing. And the reason why I want to talk about the power of reinventing, how it's so important to reinvent yourself, especially coming into the new year, is because last night after I spoke to you, remember I took mom. I took your advice, which was beautiful, which is good, and I stopped by granny house, and I went to
Brought you got dinner?
yeah, but I just went right to Bolay, and got something healthy, and
Okay.
then took it over there. And when I got there and I was getting some dinner for her, and the guacamole, they didn't really have it, how they have it mashed up. So the lady took this little gadget, this little machine, this little thing, and took the actual guacamole and kind of gawed it out, but it came out shapely and everything and laid it out. And I was like, wow, what a wonderful invention. So I was thinking like, and there's so many people that are inventing and reinventing just like ourselves. And I said, that would be a wonderful topic for today's show, especially going into the new year 2024. What do you think?
I love it. So you were amazed that they actually have an avocado scooper to scoop the avocado out. And since you don't cook and you never knew that that existed, it blew you away.
Yes.
I
I
love
never,
that because that's how the world works.
yes. Yes. Because I don't cook. I'm not in the kitchen at all. And I seen that and I was like, oh my God. And then I said, there's so many other things that probably been out years ago, but
Right.
I did not know. And it got me to thinking about the totality and the magnitude of so many people don't know about so many things and they think that this is it, but there's so much more. So reinventing yourself, there are a lot of things out there. I was just looking. As a matter of fact, I was listening to Larissa sent me a clip on Taraji, how she did the Color Purple, and she's working and she was crying and she was saying how they don't make enough money, and then if you make $10 million, you think they make $10 million, but 50% off the top go to taxes, and then 30% go here and all that, and before you don't know it, they don't have anything. And I was saying, oh my God, there's so many people out there don't know that there's a better way, and they just don't know, and people won't tell them. People will not tell you that there's another way. In other words, it's like someone's out there that is carving a turkey with a butter knife and they don't know.
Yeah.
you know so you look at yourself, all what we do know. My point is, there's so much things to know in terms of invention, things that are happening, and most people think that whatever they can see, touch, and smell, that's it. So going into the new year, I'm saying, man, we need to do more reinventing ourselves for a better life and better times. What do you think about that?
I
I
love that.
did. I looked at all that and assessed it. I said, "Wow, look at this. This means that. This means that. This means that."
And you brought it here to the show today.
Yes, because I wanted to share, and I know a lot of people feel. A lot of people. You feel depressed, or you feel, that like life is this is it, and that's because you're looking from a point of view that is very very narrow, and the lens are not wide, and no one around you can tell you that there you don't have to use a butter knife to carve a turkey. There are all kind of carving machines and gadgets that you can use, and who would have known?
I agree. And I love that you brought this to the show. I think it's appropriate for this time of year as we get ready to close out a calendar year and start a new calendar year. And I also like that you referenced the Taraji clip or, what's happening with that, the awareness that's being raised. I think something that's very important to note that when it comes to reinventing ourselves, we also have to be open to doing something different. We have to be open to the information. We have to be open to the advice. We have to be open to doing something different, right? So, as I saw one of the clips from Sharaji talking about black women not getting paid and da da da, and then the money about the taxes, and I'm like, wow, I don't not let me not say I don't know, but I would not be doing all that work for $100,000, right? So being saying that they do all this work, sleepless nights, day, da, da, da. But then let's go to the tax part. And I don't want to make this show too much about a financial planning show, even though we are financial planning. I
Well,
didn't
that's on Saturday, right? That's a
I
Saturday
introduced
show.
myself, right? But I don't want to make this show too much about that. But I'm saying that doesn't have to be your reality. That if you make, and so yes, you are being underpaid in comparison to your European counterparts. I understand that. And while you're being underpaid, the amount that you're being paid can be taxed differently. You can have a different arrangement, but it goes back to you not knowing this exists, right? And so I'd have to wonder, and I'm not assuming, but I have to wonder if no one ever said, hey, let me connect you with this person. I know you've been doing it this way. You're used to doing your numbers this way, but here's a new way. So when I think about that situation and all situations that require us to reinvent ourselves, I'm reminded that in order for us to reinvent ourselves, we have to be open to change. And sometimes that is so, so, so difficult because we're used to doing things the way that we've been doing, and we have been ushered into this narrow hallway of thinking this is all it is. Like I can only turn this way. When people walk in hallways, they can only like push their elbows out a little bit. They can't walk in hallways and do a cartwheel. And it's like, no, that's the hallway that you're in that is so narrow that you have to shimmy, by. But there are some hallways that are so big you can reach your arms out and not touch the other side of the wall. So I hope the audience is picking up what I'm putting down. What I'm saying is, yes, you have to reinvent yourselves, and reinventing yourself starts with assessing your current position and realizing that your current position may be a space where you're very narrow minded. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It just is, right? And a lot of times when people are so narrow minded, they're stuck in their beliefs, they're stuck in their ways, and they are stuck in the space of complaining that the hallway is so small, but not being open minded enough to say, let me go seek another hallway. Does that make sense?
Make a lot of sense. Let's make a lot of sense because a lot of people have just been, conditioned, and most of us have been conditioned in our culture and our belief and our surroundings. It really wears on us and it really shapes us, our thinking, and a lot of times it stunts our own ability to achieve and go higher because we think that it can't be done because you haven't seen it. And that's one of the things that I think the good book, matter of fact, talks a lot about in terms of ask, seek, and knock, and always know that there is more and there is better. Every time I see something that I learn something that I didn't know that's been out 50 years, I always feel like, where was I? What was I doing? I look around. I wasn't like, just fishing, but it's always something to do and something more better for you in your own life. And it's like, are you wasting time? What are you doing? Just fishing, just playing cards, deck up, with your friends, playing domino. But as time go on, you're gonna want to wish that you had this information. But in order to get it, you really do have to be after it. You have to be an adventurer. I mean, you have to be a seeker. You have to know, hey, I know that this whatever I am right now, there's better. And it really is. And it's I can't put it any simpler way. Wherever you are, there's a better way to do whatever you're doing. It really really is. I mean, if you think that you raised up and you think that's all you eat is chicken, 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 and if someone tells you here's a fantastic meal that you will enjoy with absolutely no meat, you can't phantom that. There's no chicken. you know but then if you go in that culture and you see, oh my God, this is something you never even taste, and look at this, oh my God, it's so tasty and so good, and I'm so full, and it's like, oh my God, it's beautiful, but you never had that experiment, that experience. You never had that experience. So the thing about life and the things about reinventing yourself is wanting more and asking for more and taking action. And The universe that we live in, the world that we live in, is so inviting and really wants better and more for us. As soon as you take a step toward it, man, all kind of situations will open up for you and help you that you never even know. Books will appear, people will appear, someone, it just happens, miraculously without you knowing the next step. If you take one step, then some the two steps to be taken. You know what I mean? In other words, things will open up for you. And you're like, how do I meet this person? You think it's by just by luck or something? No, it's the way this the invisible world works, that you can't see, the whole pattern. You can't see it. You're only allowed to see a certain amount. But if you keep going, the steps, the roads, the path opens up to you. And before you know it, you're a mile away and you're in it. And next thing you know, you were 2 years in. Next thing you know, you're three. And you don't look back, because every time you take a step, the road expands and you know which way to go. And that's amazing. And you can't see it until you start making the steps and going on the journey. It's like a golden road that opens up every time you make a step. The path clears, and you're like, wow. So you can't try to figure it out. Just do it. Know what you want, and say, I want better. I want to do this. And it works out pretty good. And always starts one step at a time. But one thing that I want, the prerequisite for reinventing yourself, and I gotta make sure you guys understand this. You can't get around this one thing, which oftentimes people shy away or back off. The prerequisite, what you have to do, the key to journaling into and going down this path to betterment and to reinventing yourself, you have to pass this thing called individuality and loneliness. And most people buck at that. Most people, if they don't have friends or others or people that do, no. And I don't know why it's like that, but that is the golden key. You have to have an individual come to Jesus personal journey that feels all alone at first. And I want to emphasize that, at first. And then as you grow and then you journey into it, you will see others that have traveled that road, and then you start feeling better. And they come from everywhere, and you're like, where have you been all my life? But they start to appear. You start to be able to see more, and then you also see where you were. And that's when your gratitude is supposed to come in, and then your humbleness is supposed to come in.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the individuality and the loneliness. I know we briefly spoke on that a little bit yesterday, and I don't think that people realize how much of that, of being an individual and doing things by yourself and being in solitude and not being a part of the big crowds, not having the big crowds of friends, and just not having that, is going to happen when you start to excel.
Right.
And it's going to play with your mind a little bit initially, because let's say you spent 20, 30 years of your life in the space where you always had so many people to do all the things with, right? You were always a part of a group, and you guys were partying and drinking and doing all these things, like whatever it is that got you to this point. You always had a large group. As soon as you make the decision to do something different because you want a different life, you're going to start shedding people. And it's so interesting because the human side of us wants to bring everybody along, but you start to realize that your journey is an individual journey. And so you're right. In the beginning, it's going to feel very lonely. It's going to feel very individualized where you're by yourself. You also said something that I believe that if you keep going, then you will start to link up with other people along the way. But here's the thing: when you link up with these other people along the way who also taken the lonely path of the individual journey, understand that they're not going to fall back into that big group behavior. Meaning, so you may start with this journey and you're like, okay, then you finally meet somebody and you're like, okay, we're doing this, you're excelling in this, we have great conversation or whatever. Please don't make the mistake of thinking that now you're going to connect to them and relate to them in the way that you did with the people before you elevated,
Right.
because we just don't have that type of time, right? So
No, no.
we don't want to go to happy hour every Friday. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, because we've done that, and we understand that to get to where we are going, we cannot go to happy hour every Friday. We don't want to be on the group text all day long sending memes and stuff like that. So don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, I met somebody along my journey and now I'm gonna start sending them memes. That's the quickest way for you to get like, hold on, this is not a connection, right? But it's important to think about all these things when we get back to the topic of reinventing ourselves. I want everyone under the sound of my voice to understand that you can be whoever you want to be. You can be whoever you want to be. And this very moment, you can make a decision to be somebody else.
But you
You
have
can,
to first believe now. That's strong soundly saying, that's a big nut to crack from all of the layers that they have been dissuaded from that, and not that has not that what you're saying, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, but that is a that's a layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of no, you can't, and don't even think like that. You really have to dig yourself out of that and be powerful and being strong. But it's a big nut to crack. But if you crack the nut, there is no stopping you.
and I
That's what it's
agree that it's a big nut to crack. And that's why we have examples, right? So me saying that gives you the sometimes the realization, because sometimes people never heard it, and sometimes it's a confirmation, like, oh wow, I never heard that, but I was thinking that, but nobody around me is supporting that thought. But to hear you say that, Hyacinth, wow, that's affirming the thought that I have. It is completely a big nut to crack. And to understand how big of a nut to crack, you have to understand the society in which we live in. And I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use the word anyway, the agenda that the powers that be have. They don't want you to understand that you can be whoever you want to be. Because
no.
if you understand that you can be whoever you want to be, you will separate from the group think. You'll start believing in yourself. You'll take back your power and you'll start doing the things that you need to do to have a fulfilling life for yourself, instead of being a part of the herd mentality where they're telling you what's going on. They're telling you what's about to happen. They're telling you what to think. They're telling you what to eat. They're telling you all these things. So when I say you can be whoever you want to be, that is a huge, huge, huge nut to crack. However, if any part of you believes that, if any part of you gets all tingly inside, I encourage you to say, let me align myself with more people who believe that I can be whoever I want to be, and let me distance myself from the people who tell me otherwise. And you don't always have to align yourself with these people in person. You can align yourself with these people digitally, the way we're doing now. And that may look like tuning into transitions. That may look like listening to the podcast. That may look like going to YouTube University and being around positivity, affirming yourself. Because I'm not telling you something that, I'm just pulling out of thin air or something that I haven't experienced. I'm telling you something that I know and that I actually do and I live in my life.
Yeah, that's a big difference. This is
Yes.
not theory. This is real actuality,
It's
and
practice.
we live it. And then once you see it, then you know how it looks. You know how it feels.
Right.
You know you can recognize it. You know, and it's a beautiful thing because it's limitless. You know what you can do, you only stops yourself. So the power of reinventing yourself, you really take control of you and yourself, me, myself, and I. You really do. And you have to have a belief that you can do what you want to do and you can do um, what you have the desire to do. Now, some people don't have the desire to do anything. They just burnt out. The system is just where it wore them all down. They just gave up and they just settle. Now, we're not talking to the people who've just settled, who just gave up. And that's the that you can distinguish someone. It's like, and I'm gonna use a metaphor, an example of during the slave trade. There were some people that just broke in and said, okay, I'm gonna be a slave, and I'm not gonna even try to ever escape. I'm not gonna even think. I'm just gonna settle with this. But then there were a lot of people that said, no, give me liberty or give me death. I'm going to get out of here one day. And every day they thought about how to get away, how to escape, how to, to break free. Every day they thought about that. And then there were some people who just relaxed and settled and drank the Kool-Aid and say, this is it. And there was no way out. And that's a strong mind that comes from belief. We still experience that here today, right now, every day of your life, whatever position that you're in, whether you're in a bad marriage, a bad job, a bad relationship, bad situation. You You make the decision whether you're going to just settle, or if you're going to say no, I am going to get out of this thing and I'm going to take the actions. I don't care. One of my favorite movies besides Shawshank Redemption, how this guy just took the little chisel and just, took 30 years or whatever to get out, and he dug a hole, dug a tunnel with a little chisel. So when you make a commitment, you don't really care how long it takes. You just know that as long as you're alive, you're not going to stop and you're going to meet your goal. But that's all comes with the belief. And we all have that inside of us. Some of us just let it die out, and some of it, some of us, the spark is still there. I'm amazed that at 65 years old, my spark is still there. I every time I learn something, I sit back and say, wow, I wish I would have known this earlier. How long has this been on the planet? And it's been on the planet for a while. Then I feel like, oh my God, I got to go. I'm behind. I got to hurry up, and I got to continue. And that's why I have this thirst for learning, because I know that whatever I know, oh my God, I know nothing. And I think I know something, but whatever I know nothing. I mean, every year I find out more stuff. Like, I'm like, oh my God, if I was doing that 20 years ago. And then I have to look at myself and say, oh God, the know of all things, it wasn't time for me 20 years ago. It's time for me now. That's how you bring yourself back into reality. It's because the creator didn't make a mistake. So when you're ready, that's when it happens. So you have to be ready. You have to say you're ready, and you have to be able to handle what you're asking for. A lot of people can't handle. A lot of people want something, and they don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the consciousness to hold it. So you have to. It's a lot of things going on. You have to be strong enough to hold what you're asking for.
I
But
agree. Yeah.
right, because some people, if you get it too young or get it too early, you can blow it. It's like a child eating too much too fast, and they don't have the system that can handle that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It was a thought that I had the other day, and I was like, a lot of times we pray for the things or we want to get to this place, but you're not prepared for it. And so, what we really should be asking for is to be prepared for the thing or the places or the people, whatever it is that you want. Because if not, let's say you get the thing or the person or the experience and you aren't prepared, you're not going to know how to relate to that. You're not going to know how to experience that. You're not going to know how to value that. You're not going to know how to add value. And so you'll be sitting here saying, well, this isn't working. It's not all I thought it would crack up to be. Well, you weren't prepared for it anyway. That's like you asking for a brand new Porsche and they only come in stick shift, and you get the car and you're like, the car is stupid. And the car is not stupid. You don't know how to drive stick, right?
Right.
And that happens, right? So there are some cases in life where you have to have that kumbaya moment with yourself and say, well, what do I need to do to be able to accept that I need to do some work in order to reinvent myself? And
Yeah,
so going back. Mhm.
that's a good example you made, because you out of my 5 kids, you are my only child that knows how to drive my Porsche,
Yeah.
my stick shift, and you're the only one who's driven it. And the rest of them would love to drive it, but in order to drive it, it's right there. Is daddy's car, convertible. They can put it back, but it's something that they have to do first.
Correct.
That's the
No,
metaphor.
no sense in getting mad and saying, well, Heisey the only one that drive the Porsche. Heisey this, you love Heisey. Like, no sense in saying that. You don't know how to drive it. Like,
Right. They don't know how to drive it. Heisey, you've been driving it for 20 years, and you just, hey, you got it in there, put the top down, boom, you go.
South
But
Beach
all
got
but the rest of my children have not took the effort to actually learn how to work the stick shift. So therefore, in the last 20 years, they've never driven my Porsche. Only one who has. Like, matter of fact, Natalie has never driven the Porsche, but she said she don't really care about it. If she really wanted to, she said she would learn how to drive, but she has never ever driven the car. And so I'm making that example for what you just said. It's there's a lot that are here for each and every one of us, but until you are ready, you can't get it. You can want it, you could dream it, you could say I want it, but if you get it, you can't handle it because you're not prepared. So it's a lot of things. So today, if you all just tuning in right now, we're talking about going into the new year, why it's so very important to reinvent yourself, to be different and more if you want more in the new year, 2024 versus 2023. You can't do everything that you were doing in 2023 and do not advance into 2024 and expect to get higher ground and get more. And I was using, like I just bought up, my Porsche that I a stick shift. It's convertible. Don't I got 5 kids, family members, none of them. They just look at it, marvel, but they cannot drive it because they don't know how, and they have not. It's not that I won't show them. It's not that they can't go on YouTube and learn how to drive it. They haven't took their own self. They have not took the steps in order for them
Yeah.
to drive it. DJ, the 6-year-old, he absolutely loves that car. That's the best car in the world. He gets in there. Grandpa, let the top down. You going to the store? Are you going in your Porsche? No, I'm not going on Porsche. Can you go in your Porsche? I want to go to the store with you. That's a 6-year-old. He's
I love
totally
it.
marveled at that.
I love it.
Now he will. As he get out, he goes. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna drive this thing. You know what I mean?
And
But
so apply that to everything in life, right? So we're using the Porsche as an example because it's easy for you to get that visual. I'm like, oh, Mr. Henderson, his kids, his car. Da, da.
right,
However, this applies to everything in your life. So when you start thinking about reinventing yourselves, you have to start thinking about your desires. And then you got to look at you, your desires, and what you need to do. Like, who do you need to become? What do you need to do? What do you need to let go of in order for you to be able to rendezvous with your desires? No sense in you saying that's only for rich people. That's only for white people. That's only for this. It's no sense in you saying that. No sense in you saying that's only for college graduates. That's only for CEOs. You saying that is the equivalent to you not taking lessons or learning how to drive a stick,
right,
because nothing is only for a select group of people. Whatever higher power you believe in wants it for you, and you. It's just like, what you gonna do to get it? Now, some of us, things come more naturally to us. However, don't use that as a deterrent. Just because it may not come as naturally for you doesn't mean that you cannot develop the ability and skill. And so that's something else that we all must pay attention to as we're thinking about reinventing ourselves and thinking about our desires. Focus. Do you even know what you're good at? Do you know what comes natural to you? What comes natural to you, but because you won't develop it, you're not receiving and achieving the success that you know you can achieve in success. Or let me say that you desire. Because a lot of times you don't know, that you don't believe that you can achieve it, but you desire it. And I think that comes from you not really understanding what comes natural to you and how much of a blessing and a gift that is. So that's a part of the reinventing yourself process as well. Like, think about what comes natural to you. If I put a little bit more effort, if I just took 30 minutes a day and decided to focus on this, just 30 minutes every day. And I know the saying, I don't have 30 minutes, get up 30 minutes earlier. If you get up 30 minutes earlier every single day, you will be amazed at how much time you add back, not only to your day, but to your life. And so when you start doing that and you say, okay, well, I'm going to get up 30 minutes earlier, or I'm going to watch, and I'm going to watch 30 minutes less of television, then you'll start to apply that time to areas that can benefit your life. And then you'll start changing. And then it'll be like, oh, it's not that I couldn't do it. It's that I was stuck in this place, in that narrow hallway where I thought this was it. Here's an example. When I go back to the area that I grew up in, or like in certain parts of Miami that I was my stomping ground, I didn't realize when I was a young adult and a child that, number one, there were no sidewalks. And number two, that the grass wasn't pretty green postcard grass because most of the houses in the area didn't have a sprinkler system. And so when you saw people watering the grass, it was a big deal that they actually got out there and watered their grass because they put forth the effort to have green grass. I didn't realize that until I changed in life. I grew in life, and I now live in a space where we have sprinkler systems and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, so the grass is not green here, not because it can't be green or it's just dirt here. It's because they don't have the systems, or they haven't put in the systems, or they haven't taken the time to water it. And I think that we always hear this saying, the grass is greener where you water it, but we don't really know what that means, and we don't really apply that to our life. And so I bring that to today's show because I want you to ask yourself, where are you in a space where you're just used to it being dirt? Like, it could be grass, but because you don't water it, it's dirt. So recognize that space, and then imagine, like, if I went out there and started watering my grass, and I'm not talking about your literal grass. Why am I hearing music? If I went out there and started watering my grass,
make an effort, taking an effort.
Right. How much would
taking
like
action.
is that Carla? Why am I hearing music?
Yeah, taking action. If you're just joining us today, we're talking about the power and how it's so important to reinvent yourself. Um, especially coming into the new year, because you don't want to put old wine into new bottles. And that's a spiritual. That's in the good book. That's a spiritual saying. You don't a scripture. You don't want to put old wine into new bottles, and oftentimes people do that thinking that it's new, but it's not really new. The year, instead of 2023, we're gonna say 2024. But you've taken your old self and put it into the new year. You're still old inside, and everything. The most important thing is not always never the outer. It's always the inner, what's inside your heart, your blood that you can't see. So you want to be able to do something different. Now, I know that's easy said than done, but this is the goal. This is the keys to change. This is the key. These are the keys and the prerequisite, what you need, the ingredients to have a better life, a better life. Today on Wednesday, we talk more mental about transition. That's what a show's called, transitioning your life, your way of thinking. Because that is the prerequisites, no prerequisites for you can see that's really on the plane of life, which you can visually see the difference. Most people want to change the outer without changing the inner. It doesn't work like that. You have to. If you do that, that's breaking the law and it's improper and it won't last. You always have to go from within to without. You don't get sick on the outside. You get sick on the inside, and then it shows up on the outside. So reinvention, and you think about inventing, like earlier in the show, I talked about this gadget that use an avocado cutter that I had never seen in high season. They'd probably seen it 20 years ago, but I'm not a cook. I stay away from the kitchen only to get my plate. But in terms of how it's put together, there are so many different people that are working on inventions all over the world in all aspects of our life. These people are focused and they're doing things and they are inventing things to help each and every one of us. That's a part of service. A lot of them that are doing that, they're wealthy, and because it's a part of service. If you want money, you have to be in the service industry. You have to serve people. You have to help people to have a better life. And you look at Apple Computer, you look at Google or Facebook. You look at that. They're serving people. You look at McDonald's. They're serving. Yeah, they have a lot of real estate and they make a whole lot of money, but they're serving. You look at Federal Express or American Express, Federal Express or Amazon. They're serving. They make $1 billion a week, but they're serving. You want a package when you want it now, you got it now. They're service. So th- what are you doing? I mean, if you really want better, you have to be able to change and go toward serving, go toward reinventing yourself. But you got to take some action. You just cannot. But there's millions and millions of people that just basically says, and I always say there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. I started with a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. It's even better if you have a 9 to 5 and then have a service uh, entrepreneurial job on the side, and that's best of two worlds. That's like a hybrid. It's like electric and gas car. You know what I mean? You got both. You got something that you're getting guaranteed money, and on the side you got a hustle. You making money. You doing it, boy. And if you could do that, you really really doing it. Especially if you stay there and you're gonna get a pension and get a retirement, then you still can do what you want to do and still have to use your time wisely. But people who are just complacent and just think that this is it. We're talking today, letting you know that it's never just it. It's always more. It's always better. I don't care if you're 80 years old. It's always more and it's always better. Only if you want it. And you have to look inside yourself and say if you want it or not, especially since we're living in a system right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, the system that we're living in right now, and they're fast tracking it. They're trying to dummy you down. We living in the haves and the have-nots. It's getting wider and wider, and they're gonna crush the middle class. You're either gonna be poor and broke with a lot of shiny gadgets, or you're gonna be rich and wealthy. Your gadgets are gonna be there, but they're not gonna be as shiny, but they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there. You're gonna live how you want to, and it's gonna become. They're trying to get us back into that slave mentality. And if you don't know how to navigate through the coming world, AI, then you're going to be, it's going to be Hunter's game, the Hunter game, or it's going to be, it's going to be the Matrix, and that's where we're going right now because there's so many people that just don't want to do nothing. So many people that don't want to do nothing, so they got to have something for you not to do nothing and still make you useful by making the wealthy people wealthier. That's where we're going to. So as time go on, you're gonna have to think more because now the competition is even more because now they have robots and they have AI that's going to outthink you. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, okay? Because we are the creator made us. Our minds are more powerful than anything that man can make. But you have to be able to use what you have, your instincts, your discernment. It's time to wake up and stop just watching the dummy boob tube and being dummied down. So that's where we are right now. Get up, strong people. Wake up. Let's go. I don't care how old you are. Let's go, man. It's time to wake up and reinvent yourself because you are greater than you even can even know and imagine. Just ask, seek, and knock. And I promise you, the path will come to you. What do you say, I see to that?
I love it. I love the tone you're ending this episode on because you're right. You literally gotta wake up and reclaim control over your mind. If you do nothing else and you want to reinvent yourself, the easiest thing for you to do, well, I say it's easy. One area you should focus on. If you can only say, I'm going to focus on one area because I want to reinvent myself, that goes in alignment with everything that you say. I believe that as far as, the haves and the have nots, I feel like there's an attack on the food, there's an attack on the media, there's an attack on so many different things. And the
Education, yes.
purpose, education, and the purpose is to dumb you down so that you can't even think. You like a zombie. You just go on to what they say. And if you pay attention, if you zoom out a little bit, you pay attention when you're interacting and engaging with people, we are literally among people who are just like walking and da 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 da. Anyway, so if you do nothing else, if you're like Mr. Henderson and Hyacinth, I want to reinvent myself, I want something different in 2024, I would ask you to disconnect from the TV, disconnect from the media, stop constantly putting stuff in your mind and decide what you want to put in your mind and start paying attention to how your body feels when you eat certain things because so many people allow what society tells them to eat to put them in a space of always feeling heavy, always feeling lethargic, always feeling brain fog, that you start to believe that that's just your natural state. And you
That's
don't know.
normal.
Right. You don't know that there's a different way until you do something different. So I know we talked a lot here today, but if you just say, you know what, I want to reinvent myself, I gotta unplug from the matrix. I gotta unplug and do something different. I would start with doing those things where it's like, okay, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not eating that. Like, I was eating McDonald's when I was 10. I'm not eating McDonald's at 40 no more. Yes, it tastes good, but I'm just not going to do that no more, right? I'm just not going to watch certain things. I'm just not going to go in certain areas. I'm just not going to get drunk until I pass out. I'm just not going to do all these things because I want something different. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but it can be done. I had a thought earlier today, and then I know we need to wrap up. The thought that I had earlier today was there are a set of people who are complaining that because I was thinking about this ebook about buying houses, and I know that there's a set of people who are complaining about the housing market and what the housing market is. And the second thought that came to mind was you need to pull up the statistics of how many closings are happening every single day. So just because a certain group of people may be complaining, oh man, they keep raising the houses and you can't buy a house and you can't afford, people buying houses every day, sometimes twice, three times on Sundays. Like people are literally buying houses. They're obtaining mortgages, they're buying houses. And the initial thought was that Black and brown people, we cannot afford to not own a home. And when I say a home, it doesn't have to be a home that you live in, but we cannot afford to not own real estate. So at whatever point in your life you are at, you need to understand that you cannot afford, not only for yourself, but for future generations to come, you cannot afford to not own real estate. And It's just something that I was thinking about, because I think sometimes people get caught up in the group think of the environment that they're in, where, oh no, we ain't gonna never be able to buy the house, we ain't gonna do this. And okay, change rooms, because in another room they telling you how they bought two houses this year, or how they bought two houses in 2 years. You know what I mean? So you got
Yeah.
to be.
And the system like to scare your heck out of you, make you feel, you know, a certain way. But today's show we're talking about the power of reinventing yourself. And the only reason why we're talking about it is because you can do it.
Mhm.
But the only people that can do it is the people that believe they can do it. And not only that, not only believe they can do it, have the desire to do it. We have discovered everybody don't really want what they say they want. I want to say it again. You know, some people can say they want to be Batman. You know what I mean? But you can say what you want to say, but actions really speaks louder than words. There's a saying that says, you know, I see what you do so loud that I can't even hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
The saying goes, what you do, what you do speaks so loud
Hmm.
that I can't even hear what's coming out of your mouth because you're saying one thing
And doing another.
and you're doing another.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful and you got to look in the mirror and look at yourself, even on your thoughts and your goals. If you say one thing, but you do another, then you're not telling the truth to yourself and it'll never happen. You have to have an agreement with yourself. You got to say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then you got to make self do it. Because if you don't have an agreement with yourself, you can't agree with yourself. How are you going to agree with anybody else or the world or the universe or make things happen? How are you going to? Because your conscious and your subconscious, they have to be on the same accord. When you say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk, a mile today, you can't just say it and not do it. Then you have to take actions. And when once you learn how to put those two together, you are absolutely unstoppable. You are a machine. When you can actually make yourself do the things that you know you ought to be doing, especially when you don't feel like doing it, you are superman, superwoman. You
Mhm.
are unstoppable. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care your nationality. I don't care fat, skinny. I don't care rich or poor. When you can command your own self, not nobody else, not Ronnie, not Ricky, not your sister, not your husband. I'm talking about yourself. When you can master yourself, you are a nuclear bomb. You are a hell of a non-stopping when you can master yourself. The problem is most of us can't. Why? We have seen it. That's why 95% of the people aren't. And only 5% of the people are. And that's so if you're talking about 100 people, 95 people ain't and 5 people are. If you're talking about 100 million people, 95 million people aren't and 5 million people are. And in America, we're talking about 340 million people. Only 5% are. The other 95% aren't. And that's a lot of people who living and eating and saying they're having a good time, but they're not being all they could be. So you don't want to do that. You want to make a change. And the reason why, because when you're over 30, 40 years old, you should have seen that, done that, got a t-shirt on, they tricked you, you did some, got in trouble, you recovered, you got sick, got well, you know what I mean? So then you like, okay, I see how this done now. I made some mistakes, but okay, I'm okay. I'm not perfect. Now you say, okay, let's get serious. And you got to come to a point where you say, okay, let's be serious now. When you get serious now, then that means you focus. That means you ain't got time to lollygag. You lollygag before, you know where it got you. You know what I mean? You slip, you drop the ball. Then you ain't got time to be dropping no balls. You got to focus now. And you got to be about you because your friends will leave you alone and they going to talk about you and they ain't really your friends. And you thought they was, but now you find out they wasn't. You got it now. Okay. You was hurt. Now you recover forgiveness. You go on. We all went through that. Come on. We all went through that. We all been burned. So now you say, okay, all right. Okay. Now let me focus. Let me have my independent mind on this and thinking about something. And when you do that, then it's like the gods, the invisible, say, okay, he got it, she got it, he ready, she ready, okay. And then you stay focused and you say, okay, I'm going to learn something I never knew about. And you stay focused on that. And then you have a purpose and you start enjoying the purpose. And that's your thing, man. That's your thing. You start doing it. Whether it's computers, whether it's learning AI, whether it's music, whatever it is, building a house, I think that's fabulous. Absolutely knowing nothing how to build a house and just saying, I'm gonna learn how to build a house. Me, I don't know, I can't spell a house, but I'm gonna learn how to build a house. And you're like, okay, here's the seat, here's the concrete, here's the dirt, here's the soil. I mean, that's interesting. That's better than HBO, especially when it's you and you learn how to build a house. I'm gonna buy a tract of land. If you can't buy land by yourself, get a group of friends so you're gonna buy this corner lot. We're gonna do this. I mean, we all going, instead of going out playing basketball, instead of going out, partying, we go each learn about soil. We're gonna learn about concrete. We're gonna learn about, the government and mortgages and all that. We're gonna build this house. What a wonderful journey to be a part of that newness. I mean, absolutely new. You just absolutely reinvented yourself. So many things I could just go and do that I've never done. So many.
So many, so many. I didn't know that to build a house, like nowadays you can go on the internet and look at the whole, like you can buy the plans.
Yeah.
You can see the sketch and the layout. I just learned that last week and I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. The same excitement that you have when you're talking about it. I
Yeah.
was totally blown away and excited about it. I'm like, what? This, like, and you can literally see like this room and that room and you can change it and you can do it. Like, it's amazing to me. So to your point, there are so many things that you can be focused on when you disconnect from the foolishness. Like,
Yeah, I was just talking to a guy over Christmas breakfast. This guy lives in Savannah, and this guy did 20 years in Afghanistan in the army,
mhm.
managed not to get killed. I said, "Did you get shot at? I said, "Did you ever get shot?" He said he didn't get shot, but he got shot at. I said, "Well, you ever was in the foxhole and one of your buddies all of a sudden you see them get killed?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Oh my God, that was trauma." He says, "Yes." So he did 20 years, and then now it's been 3 years. He's been a cop down in Savannah. And I said, "Oh, so you're going to retire there too?" And he said, "Oh, no, 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 no. They got 30, 35 years. He says, "I'm getting ready to do a 2-year program to be a commercial pilot." I said, "Oh, wait. You went to the army, did 20 years, came out. Now you're a cop, police officer in Savannah. 3 years. Now, you're not going to try to get a second, pension there and stay for 30, 35 years." He said, "Oh, no." So now you just getting ready to join this program to be a pilot, like fly airplane? He says, "Yes." I said, "And you don't have to know nothing?" He said, "You don't have to know nothing." 2 years, he said, it's intense. But after that, he's going to be a pilot. He said he wants to be a commercial pilot so he can fly international, so he can go to Europe and fly and have layovers and travel. This guy got to figure it out. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm 65 years old. If I really wanted to," I don't know if it's age restriction on pilots, but just think, you don't have to know nothing. And in 2 years, you can not even know how to ride a bicycle. If you want to be focused, you can be a pilot and fly commercial for Delta, American United, and actually get paid and travel. Oh my God, that's a reinvention. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In terms of reinventing yourself, there is so much. Only if you really want it. But I say, I'm not too sure that a lot of people really want it. They say one thing and do another. They sit and watch TV and do nothing. Laziness. That's not holy. That's not divine. You was not created here just to eat, sleep, drink, go to the bathroom, have sex, and that's it. That's Come on. No wonder most people are so completely bored about life, because you're not doing what God has gifted you with, and your ability and your talent that you have deep down. So what people do, they just go get vices, get drunk, or get high. That's a cop out.
Mhm. I agree.
That really is a cop out.
And that's the masses. That's the majority. It's a numbers game. We understand that. It's a numbers game. You're right. The masses are not convinced that there is another way and that they can do better and that they can be better, and they can say, you know what, today I can decide to go enroll in a 2-year pilot program and be a pilot in 2 years and actually be flying plane. Like, the masses don't agree with that. They don't see that. That's not a part of something that they have and their desire book for this life and this reality, and that's fine. That's a okay. I'm talking to the people who are like right there on the cusp, and they're like, no, no, no. I need it. I need. Where are you, girl? I may not know you in person, but I appreciate you being on the internet because you're giving me a physical manifestation of what I feel deep down. So I ain't talking to the people that need me to convince them and twist their arms. I don't have no time for that. Listen, y'all, I can't do that. Right. And for those people who don't believe and don't want to believe, I understand that we all are here on a specific journey, individual journeys in life. So your lessons, like this may be advanced studies for you. Me telling you, us telling you that you can be whatever you want to be. This may be too advanced. This may be trigonometry,
Scary.
and
Could be
you still
scary.
need to learn arithmetic, right? So, and
Yeah.
I understand that I'm not going to be a teacher who is saying, I'm teaching you trigonometry. Why don't you get it, you imbecile? Like, no, baby, you still working on two plus two. You still telling me two plus two equal 20. So, 22, right? So, I can't talk to you about this when you haven't mastered two plus two. Not good or bad, not right or wrong. It just is what it is, you know? But I believe that we have a duty, especially, and I read that chapter in Matthew you mentioned last night. I went
Oh, you
back
did
to the beginning. Yeah, I sat there and I kind of marinated on it a little bit and went
about
back
the
to the
seeds.
beginning of that chapter, Matthew 13. And it's such a rich chapter. But those of us who see and those of us who hear, me and you, we have a duty and a responsibility to do this. We have a duty. We have a responsibility to do this. Now, that duty and that responsibility does not include beating people over the head like homie don't play that and saying you got to get it, why don't you get it, you don't get it, no problem, no, keep it moving, it's okay, you know.
Yeah, you might be a seed that fell on hard ground, and it's just not good soil, and not deeply rooted.
Yeah,
You know what you should be doing, but when a party takes place or somebody distracts you, you go away
correct,
from the
you have no
truth.
roots, you have no roots.
Yeah, you're not deep. You can't focus. You can't. You. It's like don't bother him. Otherwise, you're gonna take his focus away, and he's not going to finish his task. So you have to be about your business. So you have to decide what seed you are. You're a seed that fell on thorny ground, or you're a seed that you in good soil. Good soil means that you have to cultivate. You have to be, you have to water it. You have to give it time for the roots to grow, and to be strong. So then you grow to be a big solid tree. So when the wind blows, you sturdy, man. You don't just blow away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's where the time comes in. All of us are seeds. What kind of seed are you? Are you a seed that just fell on the path and just blew away? The birds just came and ate you. I mean, that you just fall for stuff. I mean, you have to look at yourself and be honest with yourself and who you want to be. But reinventing yourself is a beautiful thing because you actually change the dynamic of your different worlds, and either you want to stay in the same world or you want to change the world. I mean, I've changed my world so many times, man, from doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, and different viewpoints. And I think that's, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's what life is about, reinventing and changing and discovering and newness and all the wonderful things that are here for us. You don't have to be bored or think that you have it figured out. That's one of the problems when you think that you know all there is to know. No, the beauty of it is there's so much to know. And whatever you do know, it's just a small, like being a pebble on the beach. And you know that beach sand is plentiful, miles and miles. So that's a lot to know, and it's a wonderful thing. And you can still enjoy life. You don't have to be all work and no play. You're having a good time, laughter, and not being a mental slave, and not certainly being a physical slave locked up in the cell, because that's what the system's trying to get most people. Most of us, they're trying to lock us up in cells, and we don't. You don't know, who's going to be the administration, what kind of mind is taking place. But I tell you one thing: big fish eat little fish, and the strong will always take from the weak. I want to say that again. The strong will always take from the weak, and there will always be the poor among us. Knowing that and knowing the game of life, You got to figure out where you fit in. Do you want to be weak or you want to be strong? You cannot be strong if you spending all your money and giving it to the merchants for shiny things. You want to charge a Gucci belt? You want to have a Prada glasses on? You want to live paycheck to paycheck? If you are, you're weak and you're vulnerable, and you better watch out because you're not protected.
I love that she talked about the strong will always eat the weak and the big fish will always eat the little fish, because that gives people a visual. Like, recognize where you are. No sense in you complaining and pointing the finger at the big fish and the strong. You wrong, you should give the weak mercy. All right, this should, could, would, but ain't right. So you need to recognize where you are and say, what do I need to do to become stronger? What do I need to do to become bigger? That's the beauty of awareness. When you become aware of things, it's not so that you complain about them. It's like, okay, now I'm aware, now I can take action. After awareness comes action. Awareness, then action. What the masses do is awareness, then complaining. Awareness, then victimizing. Like, okay, now that you're aware, what you gonna do, boo? Like, what's up? Awareness, action. I agree. That there ain't no sense when we talk about how it should be and what's right and what's wrong. Things just are. What are you going to do? What action are you going to take to become a big dog? What you gonna do?
Yeah, we got to go. I got an appointment. We got to go.
You-
Hey, so this is transition. If you guys just tuning in, I really would invite you all to go back and relook at this. And it's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on it's on your show also, right? The other show. I clicked it like three different places. I don't know. You got all kind
you click the wrong things. Yep. I just changed them.
of.
Hey, yeah,
Yeah, this too. Okay,
you
so we'll be
tried.
back. We'll be back Saturday for a 9 o'clock show. James T and myself, and I'm no sister-in-law going to make it this time, but we'll be back Saturday to talk about understanding money. Understanding money. We talk more about investment strategies, products that can help you in the investment world. On Wednesday, my daughter and I, Hyacinth, we talk more about the mind transition, getting your mind right, because you really have to have your mind right in order to prosper and think right and make the right decisions. You really, everything is about the mental aspects of yourself. So that's why it's very important to protect your mind. Mind is a terrible thing, words, waste. So hey, listen, I guess next time we come back on here on Wednesday, we'll be in the new year, won't we?
We sure will. It'll be 2024. I'll see you next year.
See
Well,
you
I'll see
next
you
year,
before.
y'all.
I'll see you before then. But
Peace.
okay,
All
love.
right.
And so, do
Peace,
you
love,
anything?
peace,
All right.
love, and so have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. Happy New Year to everyone. Don't be an old you taking it to the new year. Take the new you inside of a new year. Much love to you. Peace,
Peace
love, and happiness.
and so.
Gotta go.